And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the recent event launched by BSG, the Halloween event, which, by the way, happy Halloween to everyone, if that's the thing you celebrate, I guess.
Hooray! And then next up, we'll be talking about a video launched actually by Jesse Kazam. He put on his YouTube channel about the traders in the flea market and about how people blame the flea for all sorts of things. I think it's an interesting take on the usual,
Suspects.
boogeyman, the flea market that people blame. Exactly. And then other than that, may have some interesting weapons tidbits, but we'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on to that. Some like random stuff that I've been doing and some almost forgotten weapons of the Tarkov world. It's so funny actually looking back in the past and seeing like threads and threads of like angry people who are just like so furious, and like these days like no one even remembers what anyone was talking about. But anyway, how are you, Church? How have you been finding the event?
Okay. I only played for like an hour, maybe. Like I got like 3 or 4 raids in. I got the loading bug twice. Okay, I gotta ask, dude, like in general, if you're listening, and maybe you too, I guess, yeah, GigaBeef you're included. Do you guys get the loading bug? And I feel like I get it. One of the consistent ways is when I first party up with someone, I get a loading bug. But I swear it happens so often, and it's like, I don't know if I'm matching. Like I'll know if it's a loading bug if I'm still matching at 6 or 5 minutes in. But then sometimes there's these rare occasions where it's like you finally pop in. It's like, oh, loading loot. It's like, okay, well, I guess I wasn't bugged. But yeah, how often do you get the matching bug? For me, it's like maybe 1 in every 4 or 5 raids. I feel like I got unlucky last time though.
I don't think it's not that often for me. And you mean where it loads just forever and you have to basically game, right?
If you sit there, you will literally load for like 40 minutes, I think, and then it'll kick you out because I think the raid has to end. Like my buddy has a screenshot. Dude, where is it? I had to check our DMs, but he has a screenshot where he just went AFK, like just to see what would happen, and I think it was like over an hour.
Oh my god. That's awful.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't happen very often. I mean, normally if I get to 6 or 7 minutes, then I know, oh yeah. Because the thing is, I feel like I load in quite regularly at 5 minutes. It's quite often ticks up to that level. But it's only normally when it goes over about 6 or 7 that I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't looking pretty sketchy now. And then I end up having to force quit it. I think there's some weird situations where if you're like super far in, are you still able to press back when you do it? It doesn't happen to me that often, so I can't remember.
I found back is a guarantee like way to fuck it up. The best method to do it is Alt F4 and then restart the game. And
yeah, I was gonna say
you'll load back into the menu faster. If you hit back,
oh my god,
and then sit there, let it spin, you'll realize, fuck, well, this isn't doing anything. So you can either sit there and continue to wait, or you can Alt F4 and then continue to wait again because it just like bugs it out even worse, essentially.
Yeah, like pressing back does seem to be really bad. Sometimes though, if you Alt F4, I guess maybe this is when you press back, you Alt F4 and you load back into the game, and it's still thinking about something, but it does come back in a minute, maybe.
Yeah, it's fast. In my opinion, it's faster for sure.
It's hard to know, isn't it? It feels better having Alt F4'd it and doing, you're doing the thing, so it's stuff's happening on the screen, like you feel better about life rather than just like sitting there waiting. Maybe it's a psychological effect.
Maybe, I don't know, dude. I mean, I haven't tested the science, but
yeah,
my bias tells me it's definitely.
But anyway, so you had the loading bug twice, which sucks. Did you? Which maps were you playing? Because I've played strictly factory on the event.
I think one was factory, the other one was customs. Yeah, because I mean, maybe I didn't get the bug once. But like 5 minutes to load into a factory raid on the event day, I'm just like, come on, like, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. So, but I don't know because I don't know how they do their matchmaking. I mean, yeah, I have no idea. So, who knows? I mean, it was kind of early. It was like Thursday morning here in the States on the East Coast. Like West Coast is still like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. So I guess it's like kind of early, but still, man, come on, dude. It's
I don't know. I don't think so. Like when I was playing here, EU, I was actually not supposed to be streaming anyway. I was gonna like move it, which was unfortunate. But then I basically was on for like an hour and a little bit. But yeah, raids were just like super, super, super quick. We got into like a ton of different raids. And that's normally a bit of a lower point as well, EU afternoon. But yeah, how was it for you? How was it for you? You found it fun, or not really done it for you, or
dude, I'm so out of touch. Like, holy heck, dude. It's like just like moving my PMC just was like a challenge. It felt like I was playing QWERTY. Or wait, what's that one? Is it QWERTY? I can't remember. The fucking like
QWOP.
The flash game where it's like Q.
QWOP, and then you're trying to control each limb.
Yeah,
that's a hilarious game. That is. Anyone who hasn't ever played QWOP is super funny. I don't even know how you'd play it now that Flash has been just canned. But I'm sure it's somewhere on a converted whatever HTML5 or something. I don't know.
Surely,
some converted technology I'm sure.
I don't know. So it was just kind of like really hard to get back in the swing of things, and it's like, okay, I'll just grind it out. And it's like, I died. Okay, let's just get up again and click a bunch of buttons. I forgot meds. Well, fuck, it's just like sitting there loading, get the loading bug, get in the raid, just die to a guy who's got 500 hours played in the past 2 weeks or something. I got like -2 or something. I'm just like, I'm not up to par with the skill issue. That's all it is. So it's like, all I want to do is just like PV, like fight players like for like an hour straight, and it's just really hard to do in Tarkov. So
yeah,
it really didn't really do it for me. So I don't know. Like, I don't know.
That's fair.
I feel like there's no real carrot on the stick for the event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And we'll definitely get to that.
There's a strong whiff, but I'm not seeing the carrot.
Yeah, there's a few elements to these kind of things. I don't know. We'll get it. We'll get into it. There's there's actually quite a bit to say, or that I've found interesting about this particular event. But anyway, so it's the Halloween event. All the traders have gone kind of funny in the menu, which is cool. They've all gone spooky.
Mm-hmm.
The hideout spooky again. I think they've rolled out the same hideout as last time, right? You got like,
it looks the same.
Prepared. It says something at the back of the shooting range, and there's a scary video on the TV and candles and pumpkins and stuff like that, which is cool. That's fine.
Fun fact: I have to mention this for Airwing, since we're hideout enjoyers. I think near the TV there's like a little cult circle, and if you sit there in the game, you can hear cult people whispering stuff to you.
Oh, yeah. In the circle in game.
Yeah, you go inside the hideout. You go near like where like the TV and radio is at. There's like to the right in the corner. I think that's where it was, because he was gonna record something like a voiceover, and then he was like, "Church, did you say?" Because we were in Discord. He was like, "Church, did you just say something to me?" I was like, "What? No, I don't think so." And he was like, "Hey, hold on. I think a cultist just whispered something to me." I was like, okay, if you say so, cuckoo, he's losing it. He's losing it, guys. No. Turns out they whispered some weird shit to you, like no or something. I can't remember what he said, but
that's freaky.
Yeah.
Or he's just cracked, one or the other,
What too many Tarkov videos done him in.
Too much searching for the Gingy keychain.
Yeah. Which he got, by the way. Shout out to Airwing for a Kappa enjoyer. Got his big butt upgraded.
At least I still need to find that Ginger keychain myself. So, but anyway, So what else they've done? They've added there's like these funny pumpkins around the map with candy and stuff like this, and the scavs have pumpkins on their head again. There's like tons of different like random effects that I've been seeing tabulated, but didn't seem to be tabulated all in one place. It was actually quite hard to keep a track of. Things like you put the pumpkin head on, then you got tagged and cursed. It seemed like everyone just ran at you for some reason, all the scavs at least, which is a bit weird. So I have some, and someone's saying that it got rid of the debuffs, but I don't think that is true. Like if you went into raid and you didn't get a debuff, I'm not sure if that's true. I actually have a pumpkin, so I should probably go and test it. But then I guess the main thing is like Tequila on all the maps. The event is based around Tequila, really. He's lost his hammer and he's become the Grim Reaper, which is obviously just a bit of a joke. but they've buffed his health up to something completely insane. I think it's like 1,200 or something. Was it higher than that? It was 2,200.
It was like
something mental.
300 or 400% increase. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's very, very, very high. And so, oh yeah, 1220 to 1920 apparently, according to chat. Okay, cool. So, but obviously, with him having a class 5 full face shield and a class 6 thorax, having nearly 2,000 HP makes him really scary, which is it's interesting for sure. It's definitely interesting. The only time that I saw him, he just shot me, which I was just a bit sad about.
Yeah,
he just shot me straight up. I was like, oh, that's sad. But anyway, he's got the cool scythe.
You can loot it, right?
Fun. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. You can, because the thing is, you can identify it. So I feel like maybe you can just identify it and like look at it, because that's the same thing with the hammer, I believe. Because if you kill him, you can identify it but not take it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's kind of fun.
That would be so cool if you could loot it. If only.
It would be cool. Can you imagine just like running in, just like,
yeah,
it's a huge scythe. It'd be nuts.
That'd be really fun.
And then like food and drink have like a bunch of different effects and things, which surprised me. I wasn't expecting that, honestly. It was just I drank a load of juice to get my hydration back up, and I was like, what happened? Like, is it just not working anymore? And people were like, oh, juices do all sorts of random stuff now. It's like, oh, okay, because that's just how this works now. So you get random buffs from all sorts of different things, and some of the juices don't actually give you hydration and energy, which is annoying because one of the main effects that you get when you go in, you get like these random effects when you go into raid, and one of the main ones is like minus energy. So you're trying to just like hoover up all the food that you can and drinks that you can, but now some of the foods and drinks don't actually give you food anymore, which is
I'm trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
Not make a big deal. It's like, what is this event? I don't understand it.
It's really random. Like the event is super, super random. Like it's much more like bitty than other events that I think we've seen in the past.
Question from earlier that I wanted to ask you: the pumpkins that you loot, okay, are they like a new spawn? Do they replace like loose loot spawns, or are they like in random spots? Like how does that work?
Interestingly, I haven't actually found any myself. I've seen them on Twitter and from other people, and I'm just like, I don't know where people are getting these things.
How long did you get to play?
It's probably because I was playing Factory. I played Factory for an hour.
Okay.
But so maybe they're in other places, because Factory doesn't really have many. There's like, well, there's a you can get a box of cereal in forklifts and stuff. Like there aren't really any food spawns in Factory.
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason why I didn't see any. But the video that I did see of someone with one, you unpacked it, and then the items just came out in your inventory. It was kind of like a weird box.
Loot box?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. And there's like candy and stuff inside, and oh my god, it's completely crazy. So there was one thing I hadn't really paid much attention to what was doing what, but there was one thing that I saw that one peg that put out, which is pretty funny, which was that condensed milk has now got, and I think I actually have one. I have one in my inventory, so I can actually just go and see, because I bought one just to go and check. I was like, oh, maybe I will actually use one in the next raid. So it does all the stuff that it usually does, like minus 65 hydration and plus 75 energy, so it just like tanks your water.
Okay.
But it gives you stamina recovery of +3 for 600 seconds. So it's like an SJ6 and a half. And so if you combine this, it was one peg who put this on Twitter. If you combine that with a Meldonin and something else, what was the other one?
SJ6?
I think if you get, I think it's just if you have SJ6 and then Meldonin, you can literally run forever. And he was like, he loaded it on Shoreline, popped all three and ran from tunnel, I think, to road to customs, down the main road without stopping, and got like 18 skill points in strength. Because you're running the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have, there's no like stamina recovery time or anything like that. So I know, like I talked about diminishing returns and stuff recently, and it's, it doesn't matter whether you do the runs in one go or in like little goes. It doesn't make any difference. But what does make a difference is the ratio of walking versus running time, because running gives you more XP than walking.
Right, that's right.
If you can
that sounds like a lot of points.
Yeah, so if you can just run continuously, then it makes a difference. Can you imagine that you just like run halfway and then just like drop one tiny item and then get endurance all the rest of the way and then the extract? Sounds legit to me.
I mean, yeah.
The new event farming endurance and strength. You know, you can get a level every
get on Tarkov. It's our time to grind. We gotta grind as much as possible.
Time to grind all these skills.
Yeah.
Time to grind these skills. So I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, I did think that was pretty funny. Okay. Yeah. So there's another. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say. So Tequila's got the scythe. There's food and drinks.
Got scythe, food and drink all over the place.
Pumpkins.
And then there's this random website, escapefromtarkov.com/Halloween, which has appeared, which is the spooky pumpkin page for whatever reason. But what happens is there's a pumpkin on there, and then there's some kind of counter, and it says doomed. So presumably that's either people who've like entered raid or people who've died. No one really knows. There's some people speculating entered raid, but it seems like a lot of people, speculating that it was people that had died, but it seemed like a lot of people playing and dying. Maybe it's true. I don't really know. Anyway, the counter goes up to 666,666, and then it freezes and gets stuck. And when the counter reaches that point, if you're in a day raid, like it switches to night and there's like thunderclouds and stuff. So it's kind of like an enhancement on last year's test event that they did with the moon. Remember, everyone went into raid all simultaneously, and any daytime raid switched over to night, and the moon whizzed across the sky. So it's kind of like a more, they tested it then, and then a year later we've got a more kind of like dynamic version of that. So there's some counter, and then once the counter's reached, then it flips the time. But what's kind of interesting about this, and we haven't actually reached the sort of culmination of it yet, is that people have started to notice that the picture is changing each time the reset happens. So, and it seems to, once it gets stuck, it seems to happen every like 30 minutes is what people are saying. But there's like a full moon that I think, is it being uncovered or recovered? Off the top of my head, I can't remember now, but the picture's changing slightly, and people are like, what happens when the moon like completely, I think it's the moon's coming out. So what happens when the full moon completely comes out? No one really knows. So there could be something like really crazy coming that no one's sure about. Yeah, exactly what that means.
That's interesting.
It does seem that the more that the thing cycles up, the more that the moon gets revealed in this picture. And the picture is changing. I don't think there were cobwebs at the beginning. Now there's like cobwebs at the front of the photo and stuff like this. So yeah, that's kind of intriguing. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what happens with that. We'll have to see.
So yeah. Yeah, that explains why I went to a 6 a.m. customs raid and it was pitch black, and I was like, what? Did I click on the wrong, like, was it not 6 a.m.? Like, did I click on the wrong one? I really could put it together, and someone in chat was like, yeah, it's part of the event. Autumn maps are dark. I don't know. And I guess maybe I joined when it was doomed or whatever, and so I go up to RUAF roadblock, and there's these two fucking low-level guys in the corner. So I kill them. But then I see this Giga Chad on top of the little concrete barrier on the other side next to Crack House, where you can like look over the concrete wall. You know what I'm talking about? Towards RUAF. Well, anyways. I can tell he's a Giga Chad because I can see the giant raid backpack like shadowing his body, and so we like
silhouette.
Yeah, he starts VoIPing to me, and I couldn't remember my VoIP is, so I finally got to him, and I was talking to him. I was like, man, this guy sounds familiar. I don't know who he is, but he was like, did you bring NVGs? I was like, no. And he's like, neither did I. I didn't expect it to be dark. He was like, all right, let's fight. I'm just like, fuck, man, I really don't want to fight this guy, because earlier I was shooting at him, and the other part I could tell is he was a Giga Chad because he was doing the jump fucking free shooting in the air, like jumping back and forth, just like over the barrier. I was like, my god, dude, my little Tarkov brain is just not ready for this. I can hardly like just move around cover and stuff. But suffice to say, I gave him a slick, so there you go. Yeah. No, like he took it from me is what
yeah. I gave somebody a slick. I had the weirdest fight ever in factory, obviously. But it was where the new the new extract is, the medical extract with the tent.
Yes.
I was there on the map, but the underneath bit. You go down the ramp and you go over by, there's the big loot box. There's a big loot crate, like the big junk loot crate in the underground tunnel. And it's the underground tunnel open room. And it's basically just underneath the med tent. I was around there. I was just like wandering through. And then suddenly the flashlight, like at the back corner, the tunnel that would go off to forklift, there's like in the corner there, a flashlight just turns on. And this guy just starts like just going, and I've got an RD, and I'm just like just like going back, like run out of bullets. He's not dead. I'm not dead. He's reloading. I'm reloading. Like trying to use a stim or something. I was like, I don't even know what's going on here. Like I had MVGs, but because of the flashlight, I just couldn't see anything. I ended up like running around this box. He ends up engaging with a scav. I start shooting him from the other side. I just like point shot him across the whole room. It was a bit far, and I probably should have ADS'd, but because he had his back to me, he like swung around, but I managed to kill him. But I was like so screwed, like seriously screwed. So I was like sat between the two boxes, like healing up. I had to kill 2 scavs. And then literally after, like just as I was finishing up with my my stuff, I was like, oh, I can hear somebody. I still had like a break left, and like one of my legs needed healing or whatever. I was just like, oh god, like, I'm just gonna wait here for a second. And then I just hear like scuffling about, and then someone just goes, yoink. Yeah, over VoIP, and just pieces out. And I was like, what the hell? So like fix myself up and go around the corner, and the guy's like looted the whole dude's body, but just like left the dog tag on there. And I was like, that's super weird. I don't understand. And then I took the dog tag and left. And then the guy comes in chat, and he's just like, yo, I just like heisted the whole kit there. Like the dude had a slick. And I was like, hang on a sec, but like if you heisted his stuff, how did you know to come to my chat? You didn't take the dog tag. And he was just like, oh, I checked the dog tag. And I was like, okay, so you checked the dog tag, but you didn't take it. All right. He was like, no. He said, as soon as I saw the slick, I pieced out. And I was kind of like, as soon as you saw the slick, you pieced out, then why did you check the dog tag? I was like, this sounds kind of weird. I'm not really sure, but like, I was like, whatever, it's fine. Enjoy it. But then the guy actually posted the clip because it turned out he was streaming, and he posted the clip in my Discord, and he literally was just like, he was like, oh, this dude's been killed by GigaBeef. He killed me the other day on Factory. I'm just gonna take this and leave. It was really funny. It was like actually really funny. And it just so happens to be that he like came in right at the end, just after I killed the 2 scavs, and before I've managed to finish healing, and just like yoinked the whole kit and just like heisted it out from under my face. I was like, god damn it. But it was like the one good kill and the one good loot that I had.
Yeah, the one time someone's juiced, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I killed them, right? It explains why they took like 2 bags of BP to die. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, no. So the other thing, which is like kind of random that has happened in this, is that apparently, and I haven't found one myself, but apparently there's a new flare. There's like a green poison flare or something, and you can put it in the flare gun. And if you shoot it off near scavs or bosses, they become your allies. It's like a small area of effect, but you can have, I think like Glorious did it, and you can shoot it up, and you had like Tequila just with him, just like chilling like a homie as his PMC, which is kind of funny. I ended up buying a flare gun because I've never really found any flares, to be honest with you. But I bought a flare gun just in case, and never actually found any things because I think you
did the barter, right?
Yeah, because I think it's the only way to get it. I think you need 5. Do you need 5 regular flares and then 1 of each of the other ones, like green, yellow, red? I think it's something like that. Right. Maybe you need 3 reds. I don't know. But I've just been saving them up just because I've got the space, and I thought, well, whatever. I can't get them back, so I may as well keep them, especially the red ones, because I might want to do some shenanigans at some point for capturing outposts or whatever. So I was like, fine. I had them all to hand except the white ones, I think, but you can buy those on the Flea. So I bought 5 of them off the Flea. I think they were 40k or so, and bought myself this flare gun. But yeah, I've not actually found one yet. But that's kind of entertaining. And then there's one thing which, oh god, dude, it's like the most unfortunate. It's just like, oh god, really? Let me explain. So have you seen about the box on Night Factory? The weapons crate?
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
So for anybody who wasn't like playing or didn't see it, if you were in forklift and you were coming out of forklifts and you went left down the corridor, right before getting, because there's a door right at the end, before going through the door right at the end, if you turn right instead out into the big main open area, as you come out of that door, just before the ramp on the left hand side, there's that thin weapons box.
It's on top of like blue crates or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's on. Yeah, I agree. It's on top of some crates or containers or something. It's like at eye level, basically. something happened apparently, and that box became an airdrop, like a weapons airdrop loot box, like huge,
Yeah.
like huge, like it's just the loot pool from the weapons airdrop, which everyone was like, oh my god, it's only on Night Factory. This is like super cool. Some people were saying that they didn't get it as their scalp, but maybe they just played like after it was changed. But anyway, I think that's probably the case. They probably just played after it was changed. But anyway, like people were going into Night Factory anyway because there was cultists, Tequila, like everyone was juiced up. Like it was super, super fun. And tons of people were fighting over this loot box. Like it doesn't really matter. Right? People fight over all sorts of stupid things. It's like we've talked about before about killer ramp, dorms. You know, people go to dorms for PvP without even having the dorms marquee. Everyone knows dorms mark sucks. Killer doesn't spawn at the ramp like 99% of the time, but everyone just goes there anyway. And these areas kind of just, they develop their own thing. But anyway, so something was different there. And everybody wanted to look at this loot box in the corner, this airdrop loot box. And it was crazy, crazy fights. Like everyone was dying who was trying to go there because it's just nuts. And there's cultists, it's just like just mental stuff. But then it turned out apparently that this was a bug. I mean, how? I always do wonder about these things. I just think like, how can a loot box end up changing its loot pool? It's ridiculous. Right?
I would imagine it's got to be a carryover from the branch where they wanted to test airdrop loot pools for whatever reason. They're like, oh yeah, well, instead of like going through all this work to get the airdrop to come in and land, let's just change this weapon box to have the same loot pool, and then we can just load up factory. It's a quick load, you know. It doesn't take long to load up the map, you know. Bada 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 boom. But that's just
probably
a theory,
something like that.
A game theory.
Probably something like that. Yeah. It'll be something stupid like that anyway. So that slipped through apparently, and everyone was like, "This is super cool." And it does, like, who cares anyway, right? The weapons containers are really not that. They're not that good, right? They're not that good.
They're so bad.
They freaking changed it back, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
can't have too many people getting TCPW, man. Let me tell you, that stack of ammo is gonna ruin.
Can't have too many people trying to drag like Scar H's, like full Scar H's out of factory. Right. Yeah, you could maybe fit one on your second slot. Like, how many people are going in with like attack 2s into this factory? Like nobody, right? So it's just,
it's probably more to cover their asses, so to speak. Like it's a bug, you know what I mean?
They should have just left it there and just gone like, yeah, it was fun. They should have just left it there until the event and then reverted it at the end. I think it's so short-sighted to change it halfway through the event.
Yeah, I really do. I agree, but I mean, I don't know, like the implications of that. Like if it went unchecked, like would it just like break the game or something?
I don't know. But I was like, oh man, I thought it was so cool. I thought it was like one of the cooler things to have like, oh, lots of random stuff's changing, food's changing, but then like, oh, there's this one box that is now like super awesome. And like the word spreads through the community. Everyone's like, oh my god, and it's like created this like Thunderdome on Night Factory where people are going to like, check out the loot box, and then they're just like, actually, that was not supposed to happen, so we're going to take it away. Like it is like the most meaningless thing as well, because as we said, those things don't even matter. The good stuff you get out of those boxes, you can't even sell on the Flea. Like it's just the most meaningless. It's not like the thing was stuffed full of 20,000 bitcoins. Or whatever.
I know.
You know, I mean, you can't carry more than 3 of them anyway, or something stupid. Right? So it doesn't even matter. But it's not like, you know, it's like a full box. You're going to get a red card every like 5 raids or something.
You're preaching to the choir, and I'm trying to be the BSG side here. I don't know, man.
I know.
They had their reason. I'm sure. I just don't know.
Yeah. It annoyed me. You could probably tell.
I mean. When I saw it, I think I saw it on Twitter on Nice Guy. Like, dude, that's really cool. You know, I don't know why it's like that, but that's cool. You know, and yeah, it turned out it was a bug. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Of course, the cool thing has to be a bug. Oh man.
Oh god, yeah. So I guess like while we're talking about things that suck about the event, because I think the event is quite good, right? And there's a lot of threads about this event sucks and people whining as usual, right? Like just like all these people just need to get a life.
Well, to be fair, okay, so I worked on the video yesterday, the news video covering the event, whatever. And I basically didn't check any of the comments until like this morning. And I saw a lot of negative comments, and I was like, okay, well, let me check Reddit. You know what I mean? Let's see what Reddit has to say. I checked Reddit, and there was the same stuff, but there was a common thread, and I think it's valid, where you could have a chance to get one of the debuffs you get when you spawn in was a chance to get a toxin. And if you're scavving in, for example, and you don't find or have an augmentin, you're gonna run out of meds and die. And on your PMC, I'm trying to remember if I get this right. I feel like there's a weird interaction where if you extract with the toxin, you still have it. But if you die with the toxin, you can use therapist to heal it and remove it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Does that sound right, or does that sound wrong?
Oh, I'm not sure about the specifics there. Actually, I don't know. Okay. That sounds right though, because I think you have to heal it. You have to heal it with the therapist service if you aren't going to use one of the actual healing items.
Yeah, but I guess she would have the option to heal it if you extract it anyways. I don't know. There was some complaint that it couldn't quite. It seemed like there was some nuance.
Maybe it doesn't come up if you're full health or something. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
I'm not sure. That's
at any rate.
Guess, but...
That aside, maybe it's only if you died and it's free. Whatever. It really doesn't matter. I mean, people should have enough money, but the big one is like, I can kind of see why people would like. This is the thing with the event. Like, I'm glad they did something right and they got some cool stuff. I'm not a classic BSG fashion. It's just like, there's no information about the thing. People can just kind of figure it out. But it's like, now that we kind of got a sense of what's going on, I'm just trying to figure out like, what's like, obviously there's a theme here, like Halloween. But like, as far as like the event goes, it's like a game mode. Like, you remember when they did that one where you spawned in and you had like a toxin and you had to like kill scavs or people and loot?
Yeah, that was the end of web event. Yeah. You had to kill the bosses and they had an XTG stim.
Yeah, that sounded heckin' really cool. That sounded like a brand new game mode. You know what I mean? It's just like, that sounded like a lot of fun. This is like, here's a bunch of penalties. Tequila's buff, by the way. He spawns on some maps. There's some pumpkin heads. There's some pumpkin loot. Food doesn't give you any water now. Some of it doesn't give you any energy. Okay, it's like, all right, so you made the game less enjoyable overall. Like, I'm just trying to figure out like what's like, what's the big, like, as I said earlier in the show, it's like, where's the carrot, dude? I could see the whip. I'm feeling the whip, but where's the carrot?
Yeah, I know what you mean, because like, and that's what I meant when I said that I feel like this event is just like super random. It's just like random shenanigans happening the whole time. And you're just like, oh, this raid, I've got like this, I've got this, or I've got +6 intelligence. Okay. Like, it's just like, it's just like freaking random things happening. You're like, I don't understand. There's like scouts with pumpkin heads and they're just like running around like crazy, and Tequila's there and he's got 1 billion health, and you've got a flare to make him friendly and stuff, and it's just like, what is happening? It's chaos, which I don't mind if like chaos is like Halloween chaos is just kind of the theme. I kind of don't mind, actually. I'm not really that bothered. The thing that does bother me is like, and we're slowly getting into this, which is the unintended consequences of some of the things. It's like, the poison event last time was really good and really well thought out, because it was like, here's the thing, this prevents people from playing regular Tarkov, and it puts a sort of almost the battle royale timer constraint on you, right? So usually it's a big circle or something, but this is like just a literal timer, and you will die if the timer reaches 0.
Clear like objective and goal.
There's a clear objective. You have to go and kill the thing, and they will have the stim.
Right.
Or scouts might have the stim, but the bosses will have the stims, and you know where they're spawning, because that was documented, and they all spawned in a very specific place. You could go and fight the boss that you wanted to fight, probably. You might get sniped from Sturban across the map, but that's another thing. But it was much more clearly defined. Whereas this one, which is like, oh, you're just poisoned sometimes, by the way, is like the dumbest game mechanic ever, because it's like, you'll die once or see someone who's died to it once and be like, okay, I will now bring in the antidote item every raid, just in case. And then you don't die to it again. Like, it doesn't make any sense. By the way, and this is the crazy thing, like tons of people are like, oh God, because you need the XTG, But I think there's a lot of people don't realize that augmenting also fixes it. So there's like a lot of people like scrabbling around for the XTG thing. But then an augmenting was like super expensive, but it's been like falling actually. Like I ended up buying some for like 38k earlier because I'm like still crafting. Like it's really weird. There's this whole thing. I was like looking into the confectionery economy has all gone like weird, and everything's gone weird because the economy's changed. Because people are buying augmentin. That means that pile of meds are now really expensive.
That's
because
funny.
people aren't doing the craft,
right?
Or they can't do the craft without being, paid a ton more,
right?
Which is pretty interesting. But yeah, it's just like it's really weird. Like sugar and all those things are like really cheap now because they're spawning way more. And so if you want to like stock up on Alyonkas or sugars or whatever, then now you can get loads of them, and they're like way cheaper than they used to be. If you want to craft moonshines, you can like stock up on tons of those now because they're spawning way more than they were before, and so supply and demand and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But so there was one. I read a few posts on Reddit, and this is the thing. It's like it's always the new player experience that really sucks. Like anybody who's just picked up the game is like actually just doomed.
But I mean,
like,
yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's like whatever. Like I know, I get it, but it's like if you haven't reached the Flea yet, you are kind of screwed because you can't even buy augmentin or anything. There's like I've read like a ton. Like there's actually quite a few threads on Reddit of people being like, I just picked up the game. Like, what is going on? Why
I saw those.
There's like spookiness happening all over the place. And people are like, oh, just buy an augmentin, you'll be fine. And they're like, I don't have the flea market. Like I can't. Like I just can't. Like you go into raid and sometimes you just die because you have the poison. And it's like, well, you don't have that many kits when you first start playing, which sucks. And there was one that made me like really sad. There was one Reddit post that made me so sad, dude. And it was so you get these random debuffs on entry, and you get like some positive buffs as well. The thread was entitled like "How to Fight Hypothermia," and I was like, "What?" And like I clicked on it. I don't normally go on Reddit, and I went on it today just to kind of see what people were saying in general and get like taste test the sort of landscape. I was like, "What is this weird?" And the guy was like, he was like, "Oh, I'm losing energy. I'm losing hydrate. I've got like, it's like I've got tremors and or pain or something like blurred vision and pain, and my body temperature is like 31 degrees. Like, how am I supposed to fix this?" And I was like, "Oh, I know what's happened here because you get the random buffs from the different stims. That's the SJ9 like thermal, like the super rare like thermal body heat signature decreasing stim effect." On his PMC, that he's then gone into his character screen and gone, what's happening here? Like I've got pain and all these tremors and whatever. He's gone, oh, my body temperature is like super low, even though it's not freaking implemented in the game properly, except for that one specific mechanic. Has put two and two together and gone like, how do I fix this? And has come to Reddit, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, oh, I totally like it's a totally logical response that guy's had to the information that the game has provided to him. I'm just like, because there's like nothing given in game, if you're not involved yet in the Tarkov like meta, you might not necessarily have been to Reddit that much or gone to Twitter and followed all the right accounts or seen enough YouTube videos or whatever. You're just like not in the ecosystem yet. So when the event happens, you don't even see the notice or whatever. Never mind reading Russian and having to translate it or follow the accounts that do. Like it's just like the whole thing's so crazy. Like it's literally nothing in game about it. And that one made me really sad because the guy came to like the completely right conclusion and it's completely wrong.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it's that's just how it is, man. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's the symptom of the way things are. But it did make me sad because I was like, I like your critical thinking, but you're completely incorrect.
Yeah,
but through no fault of your own. Actually, like you've actually gleaned more than I think you probably had any right to.
He's too good for us. We don't deserve him. Yeah.
We don't deserve new players like this. This is the thing. Just like, well, actually, where do you need to start? Oh, crash course of Russian. Go and follow this account. Watch this thing. Do this. Follow. Oh my god.
So someone said that in my chat they won the unknown toxin 3 times so far. It felt good. And the first time they used like 6 IFAKs, 2 Propital, 2 Adrenalines, and then I guess they made it out, maybe not. But after that, they learned a lesson. Now they just always bring in an augmentin, and it's like might as well not be there. So it's kind of like aha, I gotcha. You got the debuff, and then once you like experience that, then you're like probably never gonna experience that then because you buy it. Like surely it's worth buying it, assuming you have the ability to buy it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So and
as I said, like
I don't know.
Now they're only 40k or something, 30, 40k, and to not have your raid end.
Yeah, a premature raid. Yeah,
I would say this is worth it.
Oh, dude, and it's like okay. So one thing they did change I was gonna get into this a little later, but let's just get into it now. So one of the things that they did change, courtesy of Logical Solutions, approximately 4 hours ago, is the chance to get the unknown toxin is now a 1% chance. It looks like it's down from 4, although I'm not sure. I think that's the case. Yeah. And then the other change, so it was a 4%, now it's a 1%, which is crazy. But that it's that low. It was that low to begin with. I mean, the only like debuff I got that was noticeable was like energy and like a bleed at the start, and that's when I found out I forgot to bring meds because I was like, oh, I have a bleed. Oh, okay, I'll just stop it. Oh, I don't have meds. Okay, well,
yeah,
time to go find one. And then the other change that they did was the debuff itself used to last 11 minutes. Now it lasts 111 minutes, which I'm even more confused about. Like, okay, it's technically 666 seconds was originally what it was, which adds up to 11 minutes, I believe. So it's kind of funny, like, oh, 666, oh, spooky. And then, like, apparently that wasn't long enough debuff, so they had to up it to 111 minutes. I don't know, but I don't know.
Which was that? Which debuff? The energy one?
The debuff as a whole. Like, the duration of the entire, like, the chances, whatever one you land on, they all now last infinitely longer, the entire rate, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, fine. That is nuts. It does not feel like it was 4% chance before. I feel like I had poison of, Actually, I didn't have it. When I had poison, I was like making stuff and in offline mode and like testing things out. And I had poison a lot then. I didn't actually get it that much when I played for now. I think maybe I got lucky. That was one of the reasons why I was playing Factory too, because I was just like, oh, if there's any, if I have a really bad situation and there's some terrible debuff, then I can just leave.
Can you get multiple debuffs or is it just one debuff?
I think it's just one. I think.
Because I was gonna say if it's multiple, then like technically that 4% could be a lot higher. If you got one, if the pool is like 5 different debuffs and like, you have a chance to get 2 debuffs. If you get one that's like a 50% chance, all of a sudden that 4% jumps up to like a lot higher.
I definitely had like minus energy and then like lower body temp at the same time, but I'm not sure if that really counts as a debuff, the lower body temp. Is that a positive one?
I would imagine it's a positive. Anyways,
yeah, it's a bit strange. I don't know why they just didn't get rid of the unknown toxin one, because it's just bad. The fact, like, if you're going to decrease it from 4 to 1, you obviously think it's kind of a dumb mechanic, and then why not just remove it? The event would be better without it, I think, personally. As you said, it's kind of just like, oh, it goes 666, and then the day turns to night, and then lightning strikes, and there's a 5% chance you just die. Oh, you didn't bring an Alyonka in your secure container, so you're just dead now. And now you just have to bring Alyonka.
If you got so spooked you had a heart attack and died, let's just add like a 1% chance to instantly have a heart attack and die. Wouldn't that be so fun, dude?
Yeah, it's just like it doesn't make sense.
I haven't seen that they increase like weapon jams, which is oh god, dude. I hope this is not gonna like stay after that. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, this event we're increasing weapon jams. Event ends. We're just gonna leave this in. No big, like, don't pay any attention, guys. Because remember they did that like exactly a year ago with the Golden Star. When they did the last event with the Halloween, you would use the Golden Star and you would get the contusion, and then that ended and it stayed, and I was like, oh, dude, I hate that's so annoying. Anyways,
yeah, it is annoying. It definitely is annoying. Yeah. What was I going to say? What were you just saying before the
weapon jams?
Oh yeah, weapon jams, exactly. Well, yeah, because I always end up just using new weapons. And
that's the thing.
I die anyway, so I haven't had any.
I'm never gonna run into it because I'm gonna like use the mechanic that they introduced that allows me to completely avoid the system. Thanks, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's it's a positive for not using scav guns and for looking after your weapons.
It's just. It's power creep, dude. I'm telling you. Eventually, they're gonna be like, okay, we need to up the percentage from like 0.5 to like, a 1 or like 2. Like, and then it's gonna get so hot and like, you know what? We need to get rid of 90% thing. That just isn't working. And then I'm gonna play a raid and like the first bullet I shoot every time is just gonna constantly jam, and it's gonna be miserable. That's what I'm terrified is like the power creep there, but we'll see.
Yeah. We will see. I mean, I can see them moving the threshold up a little bit. 93% is actually pretty.
It's pretty good.
I think you could probably take it to 95 without like destructing the player base personally.
Yeah,
because
it would.
You have to hit the gun pretty hard to get it lower than a 95.
Yeah, it would like 93. I feel like the vectors are like just like barely usable there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you could definitely burn them down below that very quickly. But if it went to 95, I feel like I personally probably wouldn't use the vectors at all, just because the chance to get it below 95, I feel like it'd be too frequent. And then, yeah, you just like, I just never want a jam ever. I'm shooting my gun to, like eliminate a threat, brother. Keiko. So like, I never want that. No matter if I'm out in the open or in cover, I never want that. So yeah.
Yeah, pulling the trigger and gun not going bang is definitely ill-advised for sure. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I feel like, in the 95 thing, it's like that could be okay because it works at the beginning, and then after like maybe fourth or fifth mag or something, then it starts to increase the chance of you actually getting a jam within one raid, rather than, as you say, you could just avoid the mechanic completely, even with something like the vector at the moment, just by replacing it every time it gets low, or just repairing it, because they repair pretty well. They repair like. Well, the guns just tend to repair, like, if it goes to 92 or something.
Yeah, you're going to get a roll.
It goes to like 97, 98, 99, 100. It kind of depends, but it feels like the rolls are much better than armor, for example. Or at least it's like repairing steel or polymer. It's not like you've got any guns that are ceramic like. It'd be kind of interesting actually. So like, these guns are harder to repair, so they don't go up to max or whatever. But interesting in a way of like bringing in more jams. So ultimately, it's not very interesting.
But I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the AK would be a perfect example, because aren't those guns like renowned for like being able to like thrown in dirt and mud and then picked up and shot and not being able to jam or something?
Yeah, there's like all those ridiculous videos online of like various people firing 2,000 rounds out of an AK or whatever. There's one where like the wooden furniture like literally sets on fire, and then the gun still shoots, and like the handguard's on fire, and then the guy's like, that's the one I saw anyway, and the guy, to reload it, I think the charging handle gets stuck or something, and he has to he changes the mag, and then he takes the whole gun, and like it's still literally on fire, and he smashes the charging handle down to like cock the weapon with a new mag, and then it fires, but then eventually the whole thing just there's just too much like heat distortion, the whole thing just freezes up and just won't move. The whole thing just becomes like a solid block of like metal. But yeah, they take a lot of punishment. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So the only other thing I was going to say that's like seems to have appeared out of the miasma of Halloween changes is the invisible players bug. I don't know how much you've seen about this so far.
No, do tell.
But invisible scavs is the first thing that people are starting to see. So, well, I said see as in not see. So you'll be wandering around and then you'll just be getting shot. Right? I haven't seen this for a while, or seen this in the community. But there's like Velian's got a clip on his Twitch of he's just in dorms and he walks from ground floor to second floor, and then he just gets like magnumed twice by an invisible scav or something. But then once people started like reporting this, other people now have started reporting that it is happening to PMCs too, and that people who are playing in duos are having multiple raids where they're not seeing their duo partner. They just can't even see them at all, which is freaky. This isn't the first time that this has happened.
No, that's part of the event, dude. They're ghosts.
They're ghosts. They're ghosts. The event.
Oh, it's funny.
Yep. It just makes you wonder how these things happen.
I just have to say that. To clear the air.
Makes you wonder how these things happen. You just like how.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I haven't heard of that type of bug in a long time, dude. I can't even remember like 2, 3, like probably when I first started playing, dude. Like that's been such a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's bad.
Man.
It's not good. They changed too many things. They flew too close to the sun, and now everything's melting.
But wouldn't that be kind of cool? What if they're like, I don't know how you would do it. Like there's a stem and you become like translucent, like Halo 1 Combat Evolved camouflage, you know, like you can still see like their figure, but they're like transparent, you know, but like the shape of them is still there, like the predator basically.
You can only use your melee weapon?
Or yeah, something like when you
That'd be
move,
horrifying.
when you
Can you
move
imagine?
or something, you lose it. I don't know, like yeah, it would be. It sounds like a bad idea. Then people just use thermals. Maybe that's it. Like you become like red hot or something. Like your
Yeah.
body temperature rises, and I don't know. Anyways, just spitballing. You know. Wait a minute. Remove hydration and energy from apple juice. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one.
That's the one. I can't even remember what it does now. It did something random. It's like,
does,
made me smarter or something.
Yeah, something completely useless, like attention +3 or I don't know. Because that was the thing. I was like, oh, they changed a bunch of stuff. Let me go through because I have like 3 holodinks full of like random food items I keep that are found in a raid for task. And yeah, it was just like this because I think I needed to hydrate or something. So I was like drinking my juice and then I realized I didn't get anything. I looked at it and it gives me 3 intelligence, but I don't think I can get that outside of raid. So I used, like 39 out of 40 of my juice and I got nothing. I was like, okay, great. At least it gives me intelligence when I'm in raid, but like what does it actually do? Like, I don't know. It's just anyways.
Just looking at your juice, just being like, 3 intelligence, not so smart after all.
Yeah, my take on the event, not the greatest. I mean, I'm glad they're doing something. Like, holy crap, if everything going on with the world and Tarkov and dead game memes. I mean, I'm glad they're doing something, but not enough for me, not enough carrots going in. I mean, what do you think for something like this, like it should be a separate game mode? Like you could just like queue, like, when you go onto the maps, there's like a new tab somewhere at the top left and it's like normal or like, pumpkin face. And it's like, you click on the pumpkin, all the maps are the same. Like it's just like essentially 2 different queues. And then
it's a cool idea, but I don't know if enough people would actually bother. Or people would like check it out once and go, I'll just play some normal games, I guess. Like you kind of need everyone in it together, I think. Maybe enough people would play it otherwise, but I don't. But why would you? Because there's too many, as you say, there's too many sticks. It's just like,
there it
would
is.
you choose normal Tarkov with its 5 sticks, or do you want to choose special Tarkov with its 10 sticks? How about that?
Yeah.
You're going to just get bludgeoned from all sides as opposed to just most of your sides, like the regular game.
So we're in agreement then. This is just a stick event. You just get hit with a bunch of sticks. There's nothing.
Yeah, you get hit with a bunch of sticks. I don't think that necessarily makes it a bad event. Like I think there's mixed things.
Okay,
Again, as
not
always,
a bad event. Would you say it's an anti-fun event? Fun's subjective, so that's not fair.
Not exclusively. No, I'm torn. Like there's good and there's bad about this event. Like I'm actually like 50-50 about it, but I quite like the randomness. I quite like the chaotic nature of it and like changing all sorts of stuff. And it's just like things that we knew about Tarkov are like different and like random things are changing and whatever. But there's like, there's some bits that like just definitely suck and some things that are kind of cool. So I'm not,
perhaps one reason they may have not done a separate, they could have done like a singular map, right? Like factory would be perfect or something, whatever. Perhaps maybe, I mean, most likely this is just the beginning and stuff will change. So there will be something else to look forward to, maybe, I guess, depending on your outlook. But it could change some stuff that might have me check it out again.
Yeah, we've still got this full moon thing, so who knows what's going to happen. Maybe nothing will happen, maybe that just means the event will finish. I mean, you don't know. Maybe we'll all spawn in as werewolves. Like, who knows what's going to happen.
I was just about to say, dude, furry event. Let's go, dude. Let me get my furry killer outfit, dude. That's what I'm dressed up as Halloween. You
get him with the cat ears, Oh my god. Merriman Chat has made a good point, to be fair. He said, is it a fun event? The metric is, are more people logging in for it?
Are more people what?
So I think so. Are more people logging in for it? And they are.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's fine. I think it's better than, let's put it this way. I think it's better than the water event.
Yeah.
And I think it's worse than the end of wipe event.
Okay.
I think it sits somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my take. I think that's about it for that. There's not much
Yeah.
else. I mean, there's quite a bit there. Honestly, there's like a lot of random stuff to unpack about it, but I think that's basically it. I don't know how long it's going to last for, particularly. So we'll see.
Let's see. I'm gonna wager
When is
Monday.
actual
It'll probably
Halloween?
end. I think it's the 31st, is it, or the 30th?
I'm not even sure.
I'm not even sure either.
You're supposed to know, Church. Oh, it's the 31st.
Okay. So okay, maybe not Monday.
Maybe it'll be a week or something. I don't know. I wouldn't want it to go on any longer than that, really. I think.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. If I was in your shoes.
Indeed. So, changing tact completely. There was a video produced by friend of the show, Jesse Kazam, and it was about what did he actually call it in the end? It was a trader. It was about the flea market. I'm actually just going to find
the flea market is not
title.
the problem.
Correct. Yes, flea market is not the problem. Was the name of the video, which is interesting. I always enjoy it when people make videos like this because a lot of the content that we see, especially now, I think this wipe has been quite tough for content in general. But these ones are more interesting because they talk about the state of the game. They talk about what could be and things about how we want stuff to be in the future and the things that people talk about that they want, even though they may what they're saying or what they're implying may not actually happen by doing the thing that they're talking about, which is always kind of like, it is kind of interesting because there's not that much out there that's kind of like insightful in that kind of like generic sense. But Jesse's done this a few times about his civilian flea and stuff like that. I always like it when he puts his takes together on these kind of things. So the very long and the short of the video is that the flea market in and of itself is not the issue, right? And that's because a lot of people complain about metagear, and the problem with metagear is that you can buy all of it on the flea. All of it on the traders, and it's the traders that are really the issue. And that you can buy, you can't buy anything every time that you want it, but you can buy enough of a wide variety of equipment that you can go in with a quote unquote meta kit any time you like. You may have to change it. Ammo classes, you may be able to use, you go like 7.62 for a bit, then you switch across to 5.51, and then change over to 45 or whatever. But you can buy enough guns.
Yeah, but
so kind of. What did you think?
Well, I was gonna say kind of how he set it up is like he makes some statement about how people want the flea gone, and usually their reasons is because one, it's too easy to get meta gear, two, it's too easy to make money. And then he basically shows how, well, that's not really the case, because he shows like 12 or 15 different like meta guns. He's like, I can buy 4 SRs every reset, and then this many guns every reset. These are all meta, and this is all without the flea. This is all of like traders unlocks, and then he shows how you can sell stuff to traders, and you make basically as much money as you do in comparison to selling the flea market. So it's kind of like the premise of this video is like the traders actually give a lot more, which we've talked about before, and I definitely feel like the traders give way too much, man. I mean, like, I guess you kind of want that carrot there for the progression, because if like the traders didn't give anything, then I probably wouldn't do the quest at all. Like, that's literally the only reason I do the quest, is because the trader unlocks, because this stuff they give is really good. Like, dude, yes, I want BP unlocked. Absolutely. I will take these grenades in the factory and do your tasks, Prapper. Yes, I will do this. But yeah, I mean, he brings up a good point. I mean, we've, like I said, we talked about this before, and it's like I feel like they do give a little too much. I think there is something to be said. Like, how many people have you seen running with big pipes gun, the auto GL? I'll tell you how many I've seen.
No one.
0. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know, but like the day I do come across it, oh boy, that thing might just sit in my stash till the end of the wipe. Honestly, that's probably what half the people are doing. It's just sitting in their stash till the end of the wipe. But either way, I thought it was a like I like, as you said, I like when he does this stuff because it's like, I wouldn't say it's like a very high, like, you know, really deep dive into it. You know, it's kind of like a very broad presentation. And I like that because it's like, it allows people to kind of, I don't know, be more open minded about whatever he's saying. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like if you like go too deep, people like the first thing that's like, you know, 6 feet under that they hit, they're just like, nope, nope, this is bad, terrible, you know, wrong. So I like it when he does stuff like this, but
yeah, I think it's good. Like if I did something like that, the temptation for me would be to do exactly that, right? Which is to
same,
like propose a solution, or
right,
try to put something together that's like, okay, well then if this and this and this and this, and it's like, because there's so many levers to pull, you could really
yeah,
go about it like in any sort of infinite number of fashions.
absolutely,
Yeah, I mean, this discussion is just more, people are saying X, this is why X is not true. Not saying that it would be perfect if you got rid of them, but like exactly, yeah.
It's like he's tackling like one little like leg of the freaking, I don't know what has a lot of legs, centipede, you know what I mean? Of like,
Yeah.
and it's like a common thing that people say within the community, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like that way around. It's like, okay, here's stuff people complain about, and we're going to tackle this piece, as opposed to the other way around, which is like, I'm proposing this new system that has 100 legs, and then
here's
let
a
the
brand new
community attack me.
centipede.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna take these legs, transplant them to this one. Like, it's gonna be fine. Just trust me. He's like, no, don't take that leg. No, bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's quite good in that sense. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that we agree with him between the two of us, right? That the traders probably have too much stuff, and we talked about it before. It's like the beta thing versus, you want people to have stuff, but some of the balancing, like with Big Pipe's gun or whatever, you see that there are elements of the game that, like, how many people are testing Big Pipe's revolver grenade launcher? Nobody. So that thing could be broken and no one would know. But we're supposed to be testing it. It's like this sort of identity crisis of like whether the game's in beta or whether they're supposed to be balancing things for scarcity or whatever it constantly comes up, right?
It's an early access live service game, and it's just like they're trying to do two things at once, and it's an impossible thing. But that's just like, dude, so many games are like this now. It's like just the way it is. So yeah,
and that's fine. But like, it's actually quite important that you brought up Big Pipe's gun, because there's quite a few things in the game like that now. It's like, how many people do you see now wearing killer armor? Like, nobody, right? Because like, it used to be the best class 5 because it's like really good debuff stats, got stomach and thorax, like it's super good. But nobody runs it anymore because nobody can find to find killer to kill it. The one that I do see more often is probably like the Tequila rig, and maybe some even more than that, the Tequila face shield, because that is actually pretty decent, and Tequila's quite common, relatively speaking, because he's not just going to insta-gib you like Killer will, and people extract from factory more regularly with his gear. So I do see the face shield around here and there, but never see the Killer stuff. It's like, I feel like that kit is probably on the right balance of, you're not going to have it all the time, but you come across it enough that you do see people with it and you think, oh, that's, if you kill someone, you're like, oh, that's sick. Like, I don't see that many particular face shields. That's kind of cool, and I might use it at some point, and that's sort of where you want to be. I feel like that's where you want to be. It's like, you don't want to be Big Pipe GL territory, but you don't want to be 762 BP territory either. You got this like this middle ground where it's like the good stuff isn't everywhere, but it's also not. It's not 7N40 like nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Because Big Pipe's GL revolver is basically like transcended S tier, right? Like whatever's above S tier, like it's in theory, right? It's godlike, right? And so like, it kind of makes sense that it's like extremely rare, whereas like, Killa's armor, like that's like basically just a better gazelle, like, you know what I mean? Like how like
true,
like S tier, maybe like A tier, maybe a slick's just kind of better. I don't know. You'd have to like do some math there. I mean, you can't even sell the Killa thing, so you might as well use it anyways. Yeah, isn't Tequila's rig just better than Killa's armor? Anyways, whatever.
It's still Thorax only, but
yeah. Point I'm trying to make here is like you can have different like tiers of like rarity. Like, you know, perhaps BP could stand to be a little bit more rare than it currently is. I don't know, but that's like that's the dream. Someone pitched this to me, and it's like, you know, you would like ideally like everyone would have like one rare item out of like a rare kit, right? You know, like maybe one guy has a drum mag, maybe one guy has like a rare suppressor, maybe one guy has like a rare helmet, maybe one guy has like a big backpack, you know, and then like it's like the broad average, right? And then there's maybe like, and you let's say you pay 100 raids, 2 of those raids, there's one guy, or maybe not, whatever. There's like one guy that has like all the ultra rare stuff that he like pieced together, like the freaking pieces of Exodia. He's got like the right arm of Exodia, you know, from like 14 days ago. He's got the left arm from Exodia he just found. He's got the head of Exodia that he got yesterday. And he's like, I'm going to piece together this juicer kit and go in like juice. You know what I mean? Like I miss.
And he's just lying dead in the middle of, you know, customs dorm, like customs gas station because he got headshot by sniper scout.
Exactly.
You know?
exactly. Yeah. That's, but then even that would be sick. Not for the guy that got shot, but you as the guy that came across him, you would be like crapping yourself, literally. You know how like terrified I would be to like even move? Like I probably just like sit in a bush and be like, well, time to alt tab, let's pull up a YouTube video. You know what I mean? Just wait till like 10 minutes left or so. I don't even know, dude. That'd be crazy, right?
Yeah. I was thinking about this as well in terms of like there's one item, because I've been looking at rare items recently. And it's kind of given me not a new insight, but an updated insight into kind of what's going on. And I think there's one item in particular that stood out to me, which was the T7 thermal goggles as an item that is done the wrong way. The T7s are like, they're actually just, I think that they're just done the wrong way entirely. You can only buy them on the traders.
Yeah.
They never appear anywhere else. And they're like 17 million rubles. Well, that just ensures that nobody will ever buy them ever. So what you do, right? You just make them incredibly rare, or put them on the boss as like a fight, like or something really, really low. Make them not sellable on the Flea, which they aren't anyway. And then sometimes people find them, and then they might use them, like very occasionally. That's the way it should be done, right? It shouldn't be sold for 17 million on the traders. Get rid of it on the traders. Stupid. You know what? You can keep it for 17 million on the traders if you really, really want.
Mm-hmm.
If so, like, you know, you have like super rare items.
Yeah.
And you say, fine, if you really want to buy it, you can buy it from Jaeger for 20 mil. You know, if you really want to buy some stupid item, you can buy it for 20 mil if you really want to. Like,
yeah,
fine. But the real spawn rate of these things should be somewhere cool, somewhere interesting and rare. So occasionally you get one, and it'd be sick. It'd be like the labs cards, you know, the labs colored key cards. You know, you don't ever. Like, people even post on Twitter because it's so rare to find them, right? They're like, "Oh, dude, got violent!" Like it's like it makes these like crazy experiences with people. Like then they have to get out the raid with this with this thing. You know, it's I don't know. It's
they really should do more stuff like this. They really should, because like effectively, the T7 thermal thing is like just a money flex. So it's like you basically grind barter items instead of like grinding to find the like T7 thermal goggles. Do you know what I mean?
You can't even. I'm pretty sure they're not in the loot pool.
But like hypothetically, like comparing the two, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like on one hand, you grind. Like let's say they were in the raid. You could grind to find them in the raid, but now currently you just grind barter items to get them essentially, which is like
it'd be more efficient to just get 17 million some other way.
But like. It's like which is more fun? I guess fun is subjective, but I just feel like you're grinding, like you're not grinding the thing, you're grinding something else that gets you the thing. You know, it's like I don't even know. It's like you could slay the boss, right? Or you could kill his minions 1,000 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then he just dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, the outcomes are the same, but it's like, which one is like...
One feels epic and cool, and the other sucks royally.
Yeah, the other, it's like the other one's like less involved. It's like, I don't know. It's like I'm completely skipping the content, and I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird, but
yeah, I agree. So that's what made me think about that one, because there are these items in the game. We do have that kind of rarity for some things, and it's like, yeah, the big pipe GL is the right way to go about it. It's maybe too hard to get. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure on that. But that's the correct way, I think, to go about it. The T7 thermals is the wrong way to go about it, as far as I'm concerned. And the T7 thermals thing is just the very extreme version of the traders implementation. Whereas the big pipe one is the very extreme version of the find it in raid yourself implementation, which is kind of cool. Like, one of the things that's like ruined about T7s is the fact that they are 17 million in some ways, and there's no other way to get them. So, like, in the back of your mind that the only time you're ever going to see these again is if you decide to pay 17 million for them. Whereas if you found them randomly once, you'd be like, maybe I'll use them, because like I can't do anything else with them. And the only way I might find them again, but I know it's super rare, but that's how I'm going to get it. It's the money thing then is not even in the equation.
When you spend
maybe it's psychological, but
the 18 million, you think to yourself, I could have 150 kits, but instead I'm going to buy a T7 thermal that's going to increase my power level by 5%, 10%, 15%, whatever, this is surely worth it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it makes no sense economically. It just
of course,
there's no way you're going to be able to make that back. Like, it's a complete, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to make it back, but like when it's like put in terms of money, it just like, it makes no sense. Like, that's why it really should just be a really rare freaking thing. And if you want to sell it, sure, maybe they could have it sell on the flea market. I don't really care, but it just like it. And this is the thing, is like, oh, someone might say, well, just lower the price of it. If they lower the price of it, dude, there's like a dangerous spot where literally everyone that has max level Jaeger is going to be running that nonstop. You know what I mean? It's just like,
there's a point, right? And but it's just, it's the non-fun way to go about doing it. It's like finding the stuff in raid yourself and extracting with it feels so much more rewarding. It feels like you did the thing. It's like what you were saying, it's just, you kill the 1,000 minions and eventually you can buy the T7 thermals. It's like, because that's basically what happens. You kill however many scavs and loot the little items, and you sell them all for 20 to 30k each, and then eventually you can buy them. And it's like, okay, I have the thing now. So where was the journey? Where was the story? Where was the epic, the epic raid where you found the T7s and left with it? It's like, this is not there.
I mean, you could argue that the journey was that long grind. I just like, I don't know. Because it's kind of reminding me of that one when we talked about the scav junk box, how it's like, you think like 1,000,000 rubles. How, when you first start playing the game, you're like, how am I ever going to get 1,000,000 rubles? And then it's like, oh, you just hit level 15. And that's how. But it's like, I guess you could argue that, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's never. I just personally feel like it'd be a lot cooler if it was in the raid more. You could have a chance to loot it from weapon boxes, maybe like a 1% chance. Maybe Kiba has like a 5% chance to spawn it on there. Maybe, cultists have like a 4% chance to spawn with them. I don't, what I mean? Just like something to spice it up a little bit. So
yeah, exactly. Then I think that would be a lot better.
You actually like have a chance to use it when you find it, like as part of the story as well. Like, oh, I got so lucky, I found this and it instantly upgraded my power level in the middle of the raid. Isn't that cool? I don't know.
I guess you got to mount it to a helmet, but if you,
of course,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's interesting because and the same can apply to lots of things. It's like decreasing, increasing the prices, whatever. It's kind of interesting how the other aspects. What was the other fork of this argument about the fleet was it makes it too easy to make money, which I can see because the killing the 1,000 minions is the prices that you get on the flea market for stuff. And if the traders are paying too much for things, then fine. You say, well, what's the solution to that then? What is the solution? Just to decrease the amount that the traders pay and ban the flea market so that then people find it hard to make money? It's like, well, the other way of going about that exact same thing is just to make everything more expensive, all of the stuff. You could just make all the stuff more expensive. So that's pretty much identical, right? As the same game outcome.
But how would you make the stuff more expensive?
Like you just make like the meta suppressors and all that kind of thing just more money. Because what's
selling
the
to the
difference
traders?
between... No, as in like to buy from the traders.
To buy. So you raised all the gear.
The meta gear. Yeah, like what's the difference theoretically, right, between decreasing the trader's the trader sale value, or the trader purchasing from the player value, and banning the flea market, versus just increasing the prices of all the meta stuff?
Yeah,
they say, you make too much money, then it's like, well, you could just increase all the prices. But then that just, again, it shows that like brittle loop between, you can still just buy the things, and then the people who have more money will still buy the things. Like, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't really fix anything.
Right,
but I mean, what I think they should do is they should do the same with basically anything that's kind of meta. I don't think the meta stuff and the top tier stuff, in the same way that the GL on Big Pipe isn't there, just available to buy, like Seika suppressors and the top QDC suppressor and all those kind of things, the best full grips, whatever, they should not be on the traders. They should just be finding raid. The stuff from like advanced tubes and whatever, like they should just be in raid instead. It should be the same thing. It should be more value on what you actually go and get, as opposed to, again, just grinding up, because it's the T7s thing, but on a much smaller scale, right? You just like sell all your junk until you can buy a mutant with an advanced tube and an MOE and a da and the BP rounds and whatever. It's just that on a smaller scale.
No matter how you slice it, flea market or not flea market, it's the same thing basically.
Because it's the money.
Yeah,
it's the money.
You're converting a bunch of useless items into one item you want, basically, which it's kind of cool, but at the same time, you literally can convert anything into something, which I think is where it falls apart. Like in the hideout, for example, let's say you had to find the items, like you literally had to go and fetch them, right? So like normally, or in this system, you could convert gunpowder into ammo, or you could sell it to the trader for money, which I guess is like breaks. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, in the hideout, you need specific useless items to make something you want. It can't just be any useless item. Like, imagine if you could just input anything in the 3 blocks and it would give you BP. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just loot anything, and you know what I mean? It just which is kind of like how the flea markets works in a way, is like you just loot anything and you sell it and you get rubles out the other end. How much or more depends on the items in particular, but
yeah, it's exactly it's a crafting machine, right? You put anything in, and then you get a medium of exchange at the other end, which you can then convert into anything else that you want that's still allowed on the flea. Yeah, exactly. It's a complicated one, but I mean, it's just, I think fundamentally, and we've said this before, I think fundamentally the trader, it does put traders in a weird spot, but just the trader permanent unlocks of said things is just kind of funny, because as you say, you go and do the stupid quest with the grenades, and then now you can buy BP until the end of the wipe forevermore, every reset, and it's kind of too consistent. The permanent upgrade to being able to buy that thing is too powerful, and it's too much of an important like game landmark.
Oh yeah, and the reason why it's so powerful is not because necessarily the ammo, like the thing. It's because I now have a risk-free access to the thing. Like, option A, go find BP and extract with it. Option B, sit in the menu and convert any items that I have looted previously into BP. Which one is more risky? I don't know, guys. You know what I mean? It's like, this is way more convenient, easier, safer. Like, yeah, I'll take that out. That's the reason why. I mean, otherwise, if you couldn't craft it and you couldn't buy it, and even if they jacked up the BP spawns, like, they were just like stacks of them, they was just like candy, it still would be hard, because you're not going to survive every raid. You can only shove so much stuff up your butt. I mean, I guess that would probably break it, but whatever. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, like, as I said, it puts the traders on like in a really weird space.
Yeah.
But there's sort of hybrid, like halfway houses that you could do. And the thing is, I feel because the game's been so open and free for all, every time they put a restriction, everyone just goes, no. But there's so many games that are different and not like this. Like no other game has like every item that you can conceivably buy in the shop. Like that's just like no other game does this. Only Tarkov really does this, right? And I can imagine a system where the traders are as they are now, and maybe all of the uselessly connectory parts are all available at all times because they're just annoying. But things like the guns and the ammo that goes with them, you could put them on a kind of only 20% of like the tier 4 stuff is actually ever available at any one time. Maybe you even put like you could have like special offers come up, or like something comes up and it's expensive, like you have different prices come up at different times. So the mutant's up, but it's 2 times the price this time, and maybe vectors are half price or whatever. And then the next day they're gone and something else is up. Like you have these things just like rotate around, because then it forces people to use different stuff. You still get an advantage for having high level traders because you get access to like the S tier pool, but you only get access to a portion of it at a time.
Right.
So
that's interesting.
Broadly like that, right? Which there's not enough meta gear there to run it continuously, and you'll only get parts of the meta gear on your guns. You're like, only the foregrips are available today, so you can't have the advanced tube or whatever. It's like, yeah, you could just save all this stuff up and whatnot. And there's problems with the system.
Sure, but it's a half it's a half measure for sure.
Yeah, you're kind of getting there. Like, can you save up enough bits? Like maybe I don't know, but that would kind of be its own thing, I guess.
What's interesting too is Lost Light has something similar to what you're describing. There's the main trader shop, and then there's this like smuggler's den trading shop, and it refreshes like every so often, but there's only like 10 items in there. And it's basically like 7 or 6 gear items, like guns, ammo, armor, etc., and like 4 barter items that you might want for your crafting. And they're at like a pretty expensive price, but you don't have to be you can be level 1, you can go in there and you can buy like if a tier 6 armor is up there, there's like 1 out of 1 like for you personally, and you can buy it for like $500,000, and it's boom, it's like a Zabralo essentially. Right. And it's interesting because, like, as I said, you can be any level. You can only do it once per reset, like each individual item. And as you said, it's kind of like a limited, like it's not the full catalog of S tier stuff or whatever, but it's like there's some stuff there. So I kind of like that because then I say I kind of, but it gives like in the current system of Tarkov, if you were a new player and your biggest complaint was, I can't get meta gear to fight back at meta players. Well, with this system now you can, it's not like you don't have to not play the game or like do the quests, Yeah. You would still have like, it's like a nice way to kind of like offset the imbalance a bit. But the other thing they do with traders and unlocks is it's a 2-step system. You got to be high enough level, and you have to have found the item and turn it in for unlock. So like this makes it like really annoying because there's not any like, they have quests, but it's just mainly for you to level up. It's not really They don't have tiers of traders or whatever. It's just one trader and they sell everything and it's locked. So if I want to get the HK, I have to first find an HK that's found in raid. It can't be off a player. It has to be like found in raid. Then I have to turn it in. And then once I turn it in, I have to be high enough level to actually unlock it. So sometimes you may have like the level requirement, but not like the turn in requirement. Or sometimes you may have the turn in, but not the level. So it's kind of a interesting way to how they do that. But I was thinking, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's cool. Like you're saying about this like random assortment of items or whatever. I mean, I'm not 100% sure exactly how it works, but it almost sounds to me like the way that Fence should be. Can you imagine if Fence every day came to you, regardless of your level, and said like, or maybe even this? Here, okay, how about this? How about this? Okay. This would be cool. There's basically three cool items on Fence a day.
Okay.
And so maybe one of two things. It would be like a high tier helmet, a high tier, well, I don't know. Let's say high tier helmet, a high tier armor, and a high tier weapon, something like that. And like scenario 1 is basically where he says like, you can pick one of these, and it's basically a half price. You have to choose one. You can only pick one.
I like this.
And maybe it's
even
once
more.
a day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's once a day. That's kind of cool. Or like alternatively, you could say, okay, here's the 3 items. The first one's half price. The next one that you pick is like normal price, and the last one is like double the price. So you could buy all 3, but you have to like pay more incrementally for each one.
I like both of those.
I kind of prefer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure which is better. I kind of like the, there's like his 3 items. You can buy one on the cheap. I quite like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Now, I would sort of give like a little, as you said, like a little lifeline to like new players, or whatever, because like anybody can go for it. But it's like random what you get.
Maybe what you could do, combine the best of both worlds. So you get to pick 3. It just grabs any 3 items, and they're half percent off, and you have to choose one. And then you choose one, and it's done. And then you could hit reroll, and if you hit reroll, it'll give you another 3 to, or like, not reroll, but like do it again. Whatever, like it'll give you another 3, and this time they're like normally priced, and you get to pick one, and then you do it again, and it'll give you another 3, and then this time they're like double priced, and so it's like maybe like for new players, like this resets, I don't know, like 24 hours, but like every day they log in, it's like, oh, let me see what's half off, that I get to pick one. Is there anything good? And then like for like, I don't know. Because then again, for like power players, you probably wouldn't even use that because you would have it all unlocked from the. But anyways, whatever. I mean, we're talking all hypothetical, but
of course, yeah, it's all hypothetical. This is in a world where you don't have
stuff
everything
more
at all times.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, I just like it's just trying to come up with a solution to the issue where not everything is unlocked at all times, but you still benefit from the traders somewhat, but they don't completely dominate the meta. You can't just buy whatever you want at any time. But then you're trying to, the best stuff should be found in raid. I think this is it. Like, there's a few fundamental principles that we're trying to get to, right? The best stuff should be found in raid, which makes it exciting. New players shouldn't be screwed over and should be given like some, but random access to like at least buy some decent things. But it should be kind of random, so they have to make decisions.
That's what I think. Because then, like,
and then high tier, you get advantages, but it's not. You don't just get everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you, like imagine, as we were saying, you get a random assortment of goods to buy. Whether you're, it works for everyone. If you're a new player, you get a chance to get something good without having to risk anything. But it's like it's random. What are you gonna, it could be something kind of good, could be something sort of good, and maybe it costs you something and it's kind of expensive. And then if you're a high level player, you still may have something in there that you may want, like, oh, this is a meta suppressor, this is pretty good, I guess I'll take this. It's kind of a win-win. That way it's like, as a low level player, you get that chance, what it feels like to have something really valuable that it's like, oh, if I work my way up, I could use this more often, I guess. But this is like a taste of that. Something along those lines is kind of what I think works.
Yeah, something like that anyway. Exactly. It's like trying to give a bit for everybody. It's like, again, as we're always trying to do, take away from the end game without taking too much, forcing people to adapt, but giving them something for getting there, and allowing, try to rebalance that into the new players and give them something that gives them a taste of some cool stuff without having to go through and unlock everything. Because I just feel, you can go and loot things in raids right now, I guess, as a new player. You can get like some of the cool optics and whatever that you don't have access to, but it's just not really the meta. The meta is to go and complete the tasks as fast as you can, so you can just buy the stuff way more cheaply and way more consistently from the traders themselves, or from the flea market. You just get to 15. Like, why bother with all the scopes half the time? It's like, what's the point? You don't go looting scopes or whatever. You just get to 15 as fast as you physically can. You can buy whichever one you want from the flea market.
I think the real shame of the flea market progression systems combined is that the people who end up buying the meta stuff off the flea without leveling traders are usually like the people that are more casual. So they end up like paying a ton of money because they don't want to spend 200 hours or whatever it is to grind the max traders. Whereas the guy that's going to spend that time, like, he's going to sell the meta gear that he found in raid. Like, he's not going to use it. He's going to use the tier 3 gear that he's unlocked already, You know what I mean? And if this guy wanted to run his stuff, he'd have to pay a lot more money, but he's selling him the stuff. So like this guy's winning so much for just like grinding the traders, you know? I don't know.
It's like we've always said, it's the multiplying effect. It's like you play more, so you have more traders, so you have you survive more raids, you sell more stuff on the flea market, so you're using the stuff that's not just like top. You're selling all that to other people, and it's just like everything just multiplies, you know?
Yeah.
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 No, it's interesting.
And I would think that, if there was a less reliance on the trader, or like less, I guess, incentives to level up the traders to max, you, as a lower level player, you would have a better, like it would be in your favor because you could find it or you could buy it still off the flea market. So you still could buy it just as you're doing before. Like if you're not interested in grinding traders, you could still spend an arm and a leg or however many scav runs to buy the meta gun. Or you could just find it. Like you're literally only cutting off the grinders, right? That's the only person that's really getting effective in the short term. Like in the long term, yeah, you could argue like obviously everyone's getting effective, but as far as like the early wipe 48 hour grinders, wouldn't they just get hurt disproportionately more than?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, yeah, everybody gets hurt, but that's not really what matters. What matters is like the relative power between different players.
Yeah.
You could cut off all the traders and leave level 1 traders, and that would disproportionately hurt the chads. Everyone would be hurt ultimately, but the chads would be hurt the most. And it's about the relative power of the different traders. The one thing that I'm still like a bit torn on is certain ammos and like how you balance. Like I'm just not really sure where you put ammos. Do you put ammos all in raid? Like there's so many of them. Do you put them on the traders? Like do you put them behind quests? Do you allow them on the flea? I'm not sure.
It's the
I actually just don't
man.
really know how to deal with it. Yeah.
There's so many legs, and the simple reason why is the loot pools suck ass. They suck.
Especially for ammo, they suck real bad.
Ammo, weapon parts. Oh my god, dude. Are you kidding me? I just looted a weapon box. I found an MCX gas tube. I'm freaking out right now, bro. Like I'm freaking like that's like the looting. Like dude, they need to do like Lost Light does this as well, which is really cool. When you find a gun, it comes with ammo, like a separate stack of ammo, and sometimes an attachment or like a mag or a suppressor. And it's like you can tell it's baked in because it always attaches to the gun. Like you can just slap it on there. It's like, oh, that's really nice. Like that'd be great too. Like if I looted a freaking AK, there was like a stack of ammo or something, I don't know. Like that
rather than an AK, a Glock rear,
right? Like I don't know. There could be ways you could do it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this even before you Lost Light, right?
Yeah, we did. But
about how like you find a gun, maybe with some parts, maybe with ammo, magazines, whatever for it, but like they'd have to be kind of contained. But
I don't know how you do the ammo though. That's the hard part because literally, there's 2 ways to get ammo. There's the loose boxes of like stacks of 30 and 60. And they already have like all the 9x18 or 19, whatever. I can't remember. I think it's 18 ammos in there, but like, it's useless. And then you got the 545 AK ammo in boxes. So like, do you add more boxes of each type? Probably not, because that just means like the loot pool for ammo is massive. It's got to be over 100 items, right? So then, if you talk about the ammo crates, how do you do that? Like, what if you specifically want to find ammo for this specific caliber? How would you do that? I mean, the only thing I could think of is you just make the crates spawn more ammo. Like each cell is a ammo and it varies in stack and whatever. But like you have a 4x3 thing. Why is there one thing in there? There's so much potential.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that would be too OP. I don't know.
Like maybe with the guns themselves, you should get. Oh god. Maybe with the guns themselves, you should get like a variety of ammo. So say like an AK spawns in a weapons box.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with like 30 BP, 30 PS, 30 T45, 30 T46M as well, something like that.
Could be interesting. Yeah.
Like you can at the moment you can still just buy the the trash ammo from the traders. But like, I feel that there's a way there that you could make it more interesting. Again, but like we're moving ammos completely off the traders now. Like
most of them.
Is that good?
Yeah, I don't know.
It
I mean,
gives more people more access, but only limited, right? Like that'd be cool. Like if you can't get 7.62 BP yet,
maybe
you pick up an AK and it's got 30 BPs. You'd be like, I could stack this like 10 at the top. I could go put that across three mags. Because this is the thing, you want to end up in a situation where you're not stuck with.
right.
You don't want to be stuck in the 7N40 problem.
Yes,
where
exactly.
you don't get any, and so you get like 50 per wipe, and so you're like, well, I never want to use this, and you never want to use a full mag. So you're like, okay, well maybe I'll put 3 in the top. I did actually use some 7N40 maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it's just so incredibly rare. Whereas if you got like 30 rounds of BP sometimes with an AK that you picked up, that'd be so much cooler.
Okay,
so much cooler.
Here's an idea. So here's the premise: is that if ammo spawns were just jacked up like crazy, like every weapons crate, ammo crate, whatever, it's just full of different ammo, different types, whatever, and there was no ammo in the traders, right? Would that not make ammo insanely ammo? Just the fact removing ammo from traders would make ammo more valuable. But then if you also increase the spawn rate, there'd be a lot of it, right? So like potentially flechettes, you could loot those, take those out, not to use them, but to sell them to buy a different type of ammo off the flea market. So like you could you basically have, instead of having a fixed supply from the traders that reset every hour, you replace that with the players that are looting ammo and taking it out of raid and selling it, assuming that they're doing this. But
are you talking about the flea?
Yes. Like, do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do. But then that kind of has its own issues. I'm like almost thinking, if you have 7.62 BP, for example, and you take it off the traders, but then it goes into the ammo boxes and you find it enough, or it goes in weapons boxes, you find it enough over time to actually use it, but not so little that you can never use it. But there's not so much of it. The traders will sell like PS,
right?
Say PS and T46, but that's it. You have to go and find the BP. And the same thing with a lot of the high tier ones, M62 and but they just up the spawn rates a lot in raid. You have to go and find them, but they're banned from the fleet still. So you have to go and find your own supply of ammo.
Well,
but you can still use the crappy rounds.
I would say banning from the flea may not be in the cards for this change, because like at that point, then you would have maybe be fine.
Because okay, right? You have to go and find but otherwise people are going to just sell rubbish items and then go and buy ammo. Which is the reason why it was removed in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
But for the meta stuff, but you can go with PS. Like PS is good. Like it's a good round. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the AP stuff unless you can find it in raid.
Because because if the trader didn't sell PS at all, then all the chads are going to loot PS ammo to sell to the newbies. Because they're gonna.
No, it does sell PS. It does sell PS. The basic ammo for each gun should be sold.
Okay.
It shouldn't all be found in raid. Like you should always be able to have a supply of the basic rounds to be able to go in with, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't go into raid.
And in that situation, maybe you would be able to keep BP on the flea. Because if people weren't able to buy 120 rounds every reset, or whatever, they'd have to buy it from the flea if they didn't want to find it in raid. And then you could do that if you wanted, but it would be incredibly expensive. The market would find its own.
Yeah.
And then I guess you could loot it and then sell it, though, which is not what we want to do. We don't want people looting it to sell. We want people to loot it to keep. That's why you don't put T7s on the flea.
But
so maybe the flea is the problem. Maybe it's all the problem. Maybe the traders and the flea. Delete everything. Complete hardcore. No traders, no flea. Secure container, that's gone. All of it's gone. If you die, you have to buy a new account. No, we fixed it. We solved it.
I don't know. I genuinely think the problem is with the flea and traders. It's just that it's not done in raid. It's too safe, man. There's got to be some there's got to be some risk. I think that's what makes them inherently good. It just you can. I don't know. You can just you can go into raid, take the lowest risk possible, sell the junk from that, and then buy the most valuable stuff that if it were to be in raid would be the riskiest methods of getting it, you know? You know what I mean? Like, okay, you can, like, let's go back, Killa armor. You can go into interchange and go fight Killa and get his armor. Or you could go in interchange, loot the garages and all the weapons crates down there, and then sell those to the vendor in flea market and buy Killa armor. It's the same thing, dude. Do you want to fight the boss, or do you want to fight the 1,000 minions that kills the boss once you kill 1,000 minions? It's like, and I just think that's a product of the fact that those systems are just like, they're risks, like they're just way less riskier. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
you're extra trading risk for grind, but like the worst possible grind, which is like pressing F. You know what I mean? Like just pressing the same key over and over. I don't know. I don't know, man.
It's such a tough one, dude. It's such a tough one.
But I really think you could do, final thing on this topic, at least for me, is you up the ammo, have like, you know, maybe like B tier is like the highest you could buy, and it's just like a personal limit. It's like 60, or maybe you scale it from like, maybe you do have S tier unlockable from Prepper, like BP for example, and it's like 30, and that's it. Personal limit 30. The rest you gotta find in raid, and then the tier below that, what would that be? PS maybe? Is that really all that's in between? I guess you got MAIAP. Whatever, MAIP. Yeah, MAIP you can buy 30. Below that you can buy 60. You know, it just scales down, right? That way you have like, you can like complete a kit. Like if you found some good ammo, you can like mix mags, but if you want to run like a really good kit, you could like buy a little bit from the trader. I don't know. I just like crank up the spawns.
Yeah, crank up the spawns, decrease or get rid of them off the traders. It makes it better for everyone, I think. I don't know. Yeah, well, it was so like the only interesting thing, because we're kind of like, I'm sort of running out of time, but like I was going to talk a little bit about the GL because I've been looking into it, but it fits quite neatly into this conversation because I haven't looked at this for like 2 years, maybe. You know, no one's looked at it for 2 years. Every time I was looking around for the GL40, there's threads back to 2020, everyone being like, the GL is so broken, it's so imbalanced, Tarkov is ruined forever. And obviously, like, the last time I heard someone talk about the GL, I don't even know when it was.
To be fair, back then it was really cheap, dude.
It was bad. It was really cheap. The explosion radius went through walls. It was very, very bad back then. I will admit. But it's interesting seeing something kind of like come to the game. Everyone be like, "This is going to be OP as hell."
Yeah.
It came to the game. It was OP as hell, and then it got tweaked. And then it got the nerf bat like hard and just disappeared from the game entirely, which is quite funny. So like coming and revisiting it basically 2 years later is kind of interesting. It's like some like random things, because I never looked at it that closely, right? Like at the time I was just like, oh, the short fuses and da da da. It's kind of intriguing. There's 5 grenades. 2 of them are basically the same, and 3 of them are basically the same. There really is no difference. Really, like there's minor differences. They're pretty much the same. So the 2 of the grenades are the short fuses, so they go off, you know, really quick. It's after 2 or 3 meters they activate. The other 3, it's like they activate after about 25 meters, something like that. If those had been put in the game first and the short fuses never entered the game at all, it probably would have been okay, actually, because I was testing around and it's like, it's actually a really long way.
Yeah,
there's a lot of surprising situations where you just go and it just does nothing, which is why I was like running around in offline testing things. But what is really weird and sort of fascinating is that one of the short fuses is banned from the Flea, and one of the long fuses is banned from the Flea. The other 2 long fuses you can buy, and the other short fuse you can buy on the Flea. It's like super random. I don't really understand. One of the long fuses you can buy on Peacekeeper. They're 30k or 40k each. Like per nade, you go 1 per reset. It's like nutty. And then on the Flea, they're like more expensive than that. The short fuse, the cheapest that you can get it for is like labs card yellow, because they're like so incredibly rare, which is insane. So I was like, okay, you basically can't use the short fuse thing anymore. Like the problems of the GL are not problems anymore, but it's like it's still relegated into the corner, you know, gathering dust with spider cobwebs, because everyone's forgotten about this thing, and it's impossible to actually buy the broken ammo for the grenade launcher, which is fine. That's okay. But it was another interesting one about scarcity, where people get stuff. You can find these grenades in raid, but trying to buy them on the Flea is basically impossible. You can only buy one on the trader. It was an interesting thing because that's somewhere between Big Pipe's grenade launcher and the other stuff that we've talked about, because you can get the base gun. Getting the ammo for it is really, really tough. So maybe you can go in with the crappy round, so to speak, but it's sort of a weird one. Yeah.
Well, can't you? I thought you could buy the short fuse from the trader.
No.
I thought he sold one per reset.
He sells one of the longer fuse ones.
Okay. Maybe did they change that? Because I swear I remember one where you could do that. He sold like the best one. They must have changed it, anyways. But he sold like the best one.
I think he did at one point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so much has changed with it. It's like,
yeah.
But I mean, I was looking today. It's like 600k. Pretty expensive.
It's really expensive. The other thing that's changed too is explosion now damages your armor. It used to not to. So you would go on labs. GL like labs was unplayable. I mean, I didn't play labs, but I watched people play, and it was unplayable because everyone's running GL. And then the crazy part is like you kill a guy, he's got a slick ult, and all it's like 100% brand new. It's like
pristine, and you just nab it and
run. Crazy come up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually nuts. I mean, I've even been GL'd on labs back then. Like I was playing a bit of stuff like End of Wipe or whatever and got GL'd there. But one thing that was actually super interesting is that I was like re-looking through a bunch of threads, and in a lot of the threads, people were talking about the zeroing and the way that the ballistics work for them, and it was actually quite hard to use them at long range because if you remember, you had to point it up so much, and half the sights didn't work because when you zeroed for like 200 meters, it was pointed up so much you couldn't even see the reticle anymore. The whole thing was completely busted and nothing worked properly. We didn't have any grenade sights in the game, so you couldn't do it. What's interesting going from there to now is that they've removed all the ability for it to take any sights. Basically,
really?
you can put red dots on, and the longest sight that you can put on is the EOTech that has the HHS like 3x.
I didn't know that.
Multiplier. That's it. They've taken away all the others. You can't put any of them on, which is really weird. But when I was using it a little bit and just like re-looking back at what people were saying, I was like, oh, actually, this is fascinating because the ballistics update came between 2020 when everyone was complaining and now, and like nobody in the history of mankind has used the GL for like the last year. And I was looking at stuff and I was like, this is actually quite easy to shoot and aim. Like it works with the zeroing system with just a 1x like hollow. It's like actually kind of cool because then I realized that the projectile speed is really low. It's like 175 meters per second or something. It's like really low. It's like almost like paintball level or something.
Yeah.
But the ramification of that is that you remember how much like the AS Val and the VSS changed when the ballistic trajectories changed because those bullets were slow and heavy. And this is, 3 times amplified that. And what that change was ultimately, and we talked about it at the time ages ago, was they had 3 times gravity the whole time that we played up until the I think was it 12.12 when they changed it as well. I think it might have been. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the patch before that.
Somewhere.
Somewhere around then, and now we have regular gravity. So now the GL is actually usable through sights, and at 200 meters, it's not like near vertical. It's like a normal angle to like fire a projectile. Like you can actually hit people at 200 meters, like pretty accurately. So it's kind of intriguing. I was like, it's actually had like a stealth buff, but no one ever noticed because no one used that anymore.
Can you mount a rangefinder on it?
You can.
Okay. I might have a meme build in the future.
I might try something soon. I've got one in my inventory that I've been like messing about with.
Yeah.
So
because that would actually kind of work. You could like sit kind of far away and yeah, like it could do something.
Artillery people with it.
Yeah.
Although the one thing that is pretty interesting, because again, I was looking at some videos in the past. I think Willers was using it on one of his videos, just trying to like shoot between these two things. And it kept hitting this truck, and I was like, man. And I went into game, and it's like 20 MOA or something. So if you try to hit someone at 200 meters, it's like a 1 meter error or something. Like it's actually insane. It's actually like ridiculous.
So maybe not.
Or even more.
Great.
It's like 1 to 3 meters or something. Just like you have no idea where it's going to go. But I mean, that's kind of the blast radius. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's interesting. Given we've talked a lot about the GL and the scarcity and stuff, it's like these nades are like super, super rare. The close ones, anyway. So yeah, it's intriguing. But that's kind of cool because you have to like go around and farm the nades, and then maybe you get to use them eventually. I don't know. Maybe that's it's kind of
wow. Imagine going in a raid and farming gear. Imagine.
Exactly. It's like I can buy into that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we reached the end of our time.
Yeah, on a bit of a tighter time schedule today.
Yep. Of course, as always, thanks everyone tuning in. Support's been great, and yeah, look forward to seeing you all next week.
Catch you later.